of one of the finest and heart-winning historical work of the greatest Tamil author Kalki Krishnamurthy. Yes, I am going to give you the short and sweet nutshell of Ponniyin Selvan, which is widely considered by many to be the greatest novel ever written in Tamil literature. This epic is totally composed of 5 volumes or about 2,300 pages approximately. This book took more than 3 years to complete, and Kalki Krishnamurthy first published it as a series in the Kalki, which is a Tamil language weekly magazine. Later, it is integrated into a novel and published in the year 1951 to 1954. The first book of the series, Ponniyin Selvan, is New Flex. Though Ponniyin Selvan is published in the mid of 19th century, this epic is all about the Chola dynasty of 10th century. The first king in the Chola dynasty was Parantaka I. During his rule, his first son, Raja Chola, had lost his life in a battlefield. So, after the death of Parantaka I, his second son, Gandharaditya Chola, had succeeded the throne. After Gandharaditya, his last brother, Arulmozhivarman Chola, became a king since Gandharaditya's only son, Madrantaka Chola, was a child, and hence Gandharaditya's brother, Arulmozhivarman, ascended the throne. After Arulmozhivarman's death, his only son, Sundara Chola, was coronated as the next Chola king. Here you may question why Madrantaka Chola hadn't become a king as he is grown up now when Arulmozhivarman Chola died. Because Madrantaka's mother, Chembian Madevi, actually had no desire of wanting her son to become a Chola king. So, Sundara Chola became a king after the death of his father, Arulmozhivarman Chola. Sundara Chola had 2 sons. The elder one is Aditya Karikalan. The second son is Arulmozhivarman, who is called Ponniyin Selvan, and a daughter, Kundavai Devi. If Sundara Chola dies, next his eldest son, Aditya Karikalan, should eventually want to become a king. But if we guess from the epic name Ponniyin Selvan, actually Sundara Chola's younger son, Arulmozhivarman, had become a king. But why? Let us seek the answer for it from the rest of the novel. Sundara Chola's eldest son, Aditya Karikalan, now living in Kanchi, he was a great warrior. During his young age, Aditya Karikalan had fallen in love with a beautiful girl named Nandini. Both sincerely loved each other. When one day Aditya Karikalan found his lover Nandini talking with his enemy Veerapandiyan, who belongs to a Pandya dynasty, Aditya Karikalan grew very angry and decided to kill Veerapandiyan. Immediately, Aditya Karikalan assassinated Veerapandiyan, even though Nandini pleaded Aditya Karikalan not to kill Veerapandiyan. Why did Nandini beg Aditya Karikalan not to kill Veerapandiyan? The suspense continues throughout the novel, and this was a mysterious love flashback of Aditya Karikalan. Okay, now let us come back to the present. As I said before, Aditya Karikalan is now living in Kanchi. Next, about the Arulmozhivarman, who was a second son of the Emperor Sundara Chola. As a child, while sailing on the river Kaveri with his family, Arulmozhivarman tried to pick a flower from the river, and he fell into the river. As everybody stood shocked, a lady arose from the river holding the missing prince. She placed Arulmozhivarman in the boat and disappeared immediately. Everybody thought it was Mother Kaveri who had rescued the child. From then on, Arulmozhivarman was therefore known in the palace as well as the Chola country as Ponniyin Selvan. Now, Ponniyin Selvan was living in Sri Lanka. There he met a dumb old lady who was roaming in the forest of Sri Lanka. From her drawings, Ponniyin Selvan got some idea of her past. Ponniyin Selvan had learnt that the dumb old lady was a person who had rescued him when he fell into the river Kaveri. And Ponniyin Selvan also shocked to know about his father Sundara Chola had once fallen in love with this dumb lady before his marriage, when he had lived for some time in one of the islands adjoining Sri Lanka. Ponniyin Selvan also found that this dumb old lady had 2 children. Here the suspense is we don't know who was her husband and who was her 2 children. Next, let us move to Sundara Chola's daughter Kundavai Devi, who was in the place called Palayare. She was loved by most of the people, hence she was otherwise called by the name Ilaya Pirati. Kundavai Devi loved her younger brother Ponniyin Selvan deeply. Ponniyin Selvan would never cross the line drawn by his sister Kundavai Devi. She wanted her companion, her beloved friend Vanati, the Kodambalur princess, to marry her younger brother Ponniyin Selvan. When the story begins, we see the emperor Sundara Chola was paralyzed and bedridden in the Tanjavur palace. The people of the Chola country were a bit worried. Many believed that the emperor Sundara Chola was about to going to die. Meanwhile, a debate raged as to who would be the next king of Chola dynasty after Sundara Chola. At the same time, there was a rumor saying that there is a conspiracy against Sundara Chola and his 2 sons. So, Aditya Karikalan in Kanchi sends 2 letters to his friend Vandiyadevan, 1 letter to his father Sundara Chola, inviting him to return from Tanjavur palace to his newly built golden palace in Kanchi. Aditya Karikalan didn't like to be in Tanjavur because there were 2 ministers under whose influence his father Sundara Chola is living. The 2 ministers were Periya Palluvetarayar, the chancellor in the palace court of Sundara Chola, and his younger brother Chinna Palluvetarayar. Aditya Karikalan sends the another letter to his sister Kundavai Devi through his warrior friend Vandiyadevan. Kundavai Devi in return sends a letter to her second brother Ponniyin Selvan through Vandiyadevan. With this, the first book ends. To know further what Kundavai Devi's letter is all about, stay tuned for the next interesting part 2 of the series Ponniyin Selvan. Thank you.